Welcome to your Inside Track to Success. I'm your host, Stuart Cranes, and we are here each and every week to support you in creating the life of your dreams. Each week, we have a guest or a message designed to support you in up-leveling your life, your dreams, and giving you the tools necessary to support you in getting there. Without further ado, let's start the show. This week's episode features a conversation with none other than Mary Jo Foster. Mary Jo is a master coach, trainer, and facilitator, having led thousands of people through deep emotional intelligence work to support them in getting underneath what is in the way of creating the lives of their dreams. Mary Jo is an expert in relationships, including the relationship to self, and supporting people in creating lives that are inspiring and excite them to get out of bed each and every day. Very excited for you all listening to this. This is somebody who I have looked up to for a while now. I have had the opportunity to attend a couple of her trainings. This is absolutely going to be a great one for you today. Let's start the show. Mary Jo, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to have you on. I know we are both graduates of and students of the same work, the same emotional intelligence work that has made a difference in my life. It's the same work that I met my wife, Jennifer, through. She's been on the show multiple times. And, I wanted to have you on. You are all about inspired living. And I would love to just kick that off, maybe for the audience who hasn't heard of anything like that. What does that mean? And what is available to people?
Well, I think you gave me the perfect entry point about doing the trainings that we share in our history and then becoming an advocate for it and a facilitator for it and being out there. One of the things I realized, my life was good before the trainings, but took it to a level I couldn't even imagined. And what was so present for me in that first experience I had of the work was I kept myself a little distance from life. There was like a safety barrier, just a little bit of a gap, right? To keep me out of quote unquote harm's way or whatever that was. And what I realized is, I'm a joy monger. I love when the connection of what I want and what I've got don't match up. What could fill in between, what could bring those two things together in such a powerful way is the inspiration to get up one more time. The inspiration of deservedness, of weeping, of power, of whatever that is. Because we have these moments of inspiration. But when we move into inspired living, it's not if I'll be inspired, it's when I'll be inspired. I'm not waiting for it. It's a yes already. Now it's just a matter of engaging that and having that elevate the results, the fulfillment, the vibrancy of life, really.
Mm-hmm. And I like the way that you put it, because I remember waking up dreading to go into work every day. I had probably stayed up way too late drinking the night before or doing the Lord knows what that was destructive. And, punching the clock, being a good corporate robot, so to speak, and just didn't really know why I was doing what I was doing, but was doing it because it felt like it was what I was supposed to do for some vaguely defined reason. Wondering if you could speak into the work behind connecting to that vision, that inspiration for living more fully.
Sure. Like one of the first things that comes is I have worked with people that didn't change the details of their life. Like they didn't suddenly go from climbing telephone poles to starting a foundation in Africa. They kept climbing telephone poles. But the level of participation in their life and the fulfillment, like we're highly trained on the success meter. This amount, this many hours, this many things in the garage, like boom, 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 boom. We quantify it regularly that sometimes we forget there's an access of the success and the fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So that level of I am living a life I love doesn't always mean I've got to change my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's required, great, because then there's an access to that. But that
Sure.
fulfillment piece of I'm proud of whose head hits my pillow at the end of the day can go equally as far as how much money I have in my bank account or how many people have liked my posting. Am I liking? Am I loving? So that quality of if I don't like what's happening in my world, if I in my personal world as well as the world around me, you know, the work to look to self first so that I can acclimate and truly become an engineer of what I want. Be the architect, be the author, be the artist. This is the life I want to live, and this is the mark I want to make.
Yeah.
Grandiosity fades because that's we're now not measuring quantitatively, we're measuring qualitatively.
Mhm.
That that is so important to get in that difference. What would have me feel fulfilled and what would have me making a difference in the way I want to make a difference. And I do love a regular conversation with my kids when we talk about what's a highlight of the day. There's also and who I made a difference for. Because
I
that may
love
not be
that.
a highlight, and that's okay. But when my boys started bodybuilding during COVID, and they're all beasts now, I was like, you have all these muscles. Now, can I ask this question without being too, I don't want to be an egg. I'm really curious. How are those muscles making your life better? And how are they making the world better? And it
Mm.
just kind of, we got to have this kind of in tune, like how it supported their passions, how they like having the stamina, how they like, it just opened up in a way that I don't think they'd asked themselves. And I didn't assume they hadn't asked themselves. I truly believe when we know we've made someone's day better or we've made an impact in a positive way, we live our divine design and we call ourselves into that higher self.
Yeah. I love it. So I'm going to ask you this to go a bit deeper for the listeners. And in this type of work that you're describing, one of my favorite quotes is, we are the sole and uncontested authors of our lives. I feel like a lot of people that hear that take it and they go, that's right, I gotta wake up at 4 a.m. and start an LLC by 6, and I'm gonna sleep when I'm dead, and all those things. Like, I'm gonna somehow muscle my way towards creating the life of my dreams. And we know that that's not sustainable, especially if we're acting out of alignment for what we want to create.
And let's just be honest, at this time of year, the gyms were packed
Right.
January 2nd,
Of course.
right? So we muscle through, we're going to make these big declarations, all of those things. So finish your question now.
Yeah. And so, where do people start actually doing the work to pause and look internally and ask what it is that would actually fulfill me and be my most inspired, fully expressed life?
Well, that's the great question right there. If I'm the uncontested author of my life, am I aware of the story I want to author?
Mm,
It usually can take me about 3 or 4 questions to figure out if they've actually really asked themselves that, if they're really clear on what is the story that I want my life to be.
mhm.
And sometimes we can get so bogged down in the details that attachment starts to become more the driving force than the commitment. So that exploration of author, and there's many sources where people can look to guidance and prompts. And I love to provide that for people because asking questions differently than you would will have you answer yourself differently. So have somebody else ask the questions. Again, what makes me proud when I put my head on the pillow at the end of the night?
Yeah.
What would have me look back and say, life well lived?
Mhm.
What would have me on my deathbed say, I wish I had had more of, and I wish I would have had less of? These are just kind of a starting. Like we will go into action, we'll go into the what, when we haven't spent long enough time on the why.
Mm,
Why is
mm,
this important to me? What box does this check? Or what song does this awaken in my soul? Both are
mhm.
important.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of the people that listen to this show are high achievers, high performers, very, very good at doing things, getting things done, checking boxes, and probably doing them at a very high level. But
Okay.
I challenge the people listening to this conversation with Mary Jo, who is it for? Also, like, is it for you? Is it for someone else? In doing a lot of this type of work for myself, I actually learned that a lot of what I was pursuing was to try to impress the people that, excuse me, the friends I didn't feel like I had growing up. And just making that realization led to this beautiful level of freedom where I'm actually able to understand, like, oh, I don't actually want that thing. I just think it's going to give me love in some way that I felt like I missed. But in reality, I care about my family more than anything. And
Yeah, now let's
almost
just take a look at that. If
mm,
I impress these people, whose love am I looking for?
theirs, not mine.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I wake up empty and wonder why I'm lonely or wonder why this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I could say I did it for them, but I did it for my own seeking of something I feel I don't have, which is if they love me, I'll be okay. If they love me, I must be doing well.
Yes.
If they, now I'm not against using some of those methods, that's really valuable. There can be inspiration there, there can be value there. But if it's only to replace what I think is missing in me, it generally tends to be a Sisyphus kind of journey. Well, now this box
Yeah.
didn't do it, so maybe this box, or maybe this one will, or maybe this number will, or this weight loss will, or this whatever.
Hmm.
So I will be okay if they are impressed instead of, wow, I want to impress me,
Yeah.
which, based on results, darling, you've been doing.
Well, thank you. But I think that it did take me landing on this for myself to really start to like the person I saw in the mirror. And, that's why I wanted to have you on today so we could really kind of get underneath a lot of this stuff and help the listeners out there. And I'm curious, I've done a good amount of this work. I've been, working on myself, so to speak, for years and years. But I would love to maybe hear, like, if there is a question that you would invite the listeners to just noodle on for themselves. Is there one above the rest that helps get them going in the right direction towards a life of inspiration?
The kindest, the most inquisitive, open-ended, can't wait to hear the answer kind of wonderment. Why?
Mm,
Why? Not why. Give me an answer. Why? Defend your position. But why does this light me up?
yeah.
Why do I feel like I have to run so hard? Why am I willing to look in someone else's eyes longer than I am the ones in the mirror?
Yeah.
If we began to start to, and like I said, for those of you listening, why is often used in our culture as a defend yourself mechanism. Explain yourself. Why did you do that? Why didn't you do
Mm,
that? So, what I'm asking you to do is let that fall away and give the why, like a 4-year-old that wants to know why the sky is blue. Just, I'm so curious. I want to know deeper that your why comes from that truly open hearted, like I said, even compassionate. Tell me it all, like you would want from a best friend or a beloved partner. I want to know you. Ask the why from that place to learn, to discover, to meet who I am right now, because that will inform and inspire about the me I want to become.
And if people are hitting you with, I don't know, what's your response to that?
What do you know?
Maybe just to role play here a little bit. If I am the person and
Great.
you've just hit me with what do you know? I know that I love my family. I know that I want to be the best husband and father possible.
Beautiful. Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because I had a really amazing set of parents, and I want to be able to do the same for my kids so that they have the right example for them growing up as well.
Because if a man invests his life in raising people that want to be in the world the way you are intending, what do you think of a man like that?
What's coming up for me is it's somebody to look up to and aspire to be, because it's somebody that isn't in everything just for himself. It's actually for the future, for ideally raising somebody who's going to make the world even better than I found it.
So far, what I've learned about what you do know, whether you knew it or not, is life well lived impacts others in a positive way. And you're
Yeah.
very, very clear that you want to grow into your own hero.
Oh, yeah. That resonated.
You have your dad for inspiration, you have other people for inspiration, but you don't want to become them.
Right. I'm the only me, so I might as well be me.
Who's better at it than you, honey?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good. So accurate though. And you know, this was an example and I was giving it my authentic go, ladies and gentlemen, but I hope that that landed for some of you. And I bet that it did. And, you know, take the opportunity, maybe rewind a little bit, answer these questions for yourself, whether it's in a journal or meditating, because this is exactly the type of work that really up levels you in a very short amount of time, uh, so to speak. And I know that's what we're all here for.
Well,
Mary,
ironically, how long will a relationship last if I'm not interested in the other one?
oh, not very
How
long at
long?
all.
And what's the longest relationship we will be in?
Well, with ourselves.
Absolutely. And yet that's the one we can often cut corners. So don't journal because you're supposed to. Don't journal because you have to. Don't ask these questions because something's wrong. Do it because the relationship with you is the longest relationship you're ever going to have. And relationships without relationship maintenance don't work. That feels important.
Hey, everybody, host Stuart Krantz here, taking a brief pause in today's conversation to remind you to support the show by hitting like or subscribe. Wherever you are finding this conversation, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcast platform, it supports us in our mission of getting today's conversation or message out to as many people as possible to support you all in creating the lives of your dreams. If you're getting any value out of today's conversation, do us a favor. The cost of admission is always free. Shoot this out to at least one other person that you feel will be inspired. Let's get back to the show. For the folks out there that may be listening to what you're saying, Mary Jo, and being like, yeah, that's cool. I hear you, except, I got this to do and that person to answer to and this email to respond to. Like, I have been told, and this was one of the things that unlocked a lot for me, is that that's actually a self-worth conversation with ourselves, and not prioritizing ourselves as I feel like you're getting at. What in your work and the coaching you do and the facilitation you do supports people the most in flipping that script towards prioritizing themselves?
Well, I think what one of the major breakdowns that I address around that is because then it feels like me or what I care about, me or who I love.
Mhm.
So again, that prioritizing self can be self-worth, everybody's more important than me, or it can be, I don't want to take away from all those places I said I'd show up. Right. So that's why it can sometimes fall through the cracks. Those relationships that are solid no matter what sometimes tend to get the least when they deserve the best.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of it as relationship to self instead of simply self, it becomes an active and a dynamic, energetic experience. It's a give and take. All the rules of relationship apply me with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
first of all. And secondly, if I'm not tending to myself as a resource for all those other places that need my time and attention, I am actually telling all those places and people they don't deserve the very best. No, no. I'm
Right.
not going to sign up to be an Instacart driver and never change my oil. That's absurd.
Right.
So if I truly love others and I want them to have my impact to be as maximum as possible, how dare I let myself run down to a nub?
Yeah.
That's telling them they don't deserve what I say I want them to have. So it is a matter of being willing to look in a way that you haven't before if you've come up against it time and time and time and time and time again.
Yeah. Y'all, we can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm-mm.
And for the parents out there, if you're not taking care of yourself, your kids are getting your leftovers at best.
Absolutely. And you wonder why. Like I did my workout in the morning, I did my meditation, I went to work all day, and I came home and I made dinner, and now I wonder why I'm being short with my kids for spilling something at the table or talking over each other. Or when that one comes home and says, I'm so excited about, not right now, honey, not right now, honey. Well, because I didn't, like, again, I didn't tend to who I am. One of the things I love, and it's just a tool, so the tool can't do it. The builder's always in charge. So just, I want to be real clear on people out there. When I offer a tool, like 9 times out of 10, if it doesn't work, it's user error. I'm just going to say that boldly. It's, you got to know like what the purpose of it is. But transition, even like if your drive home from work could be a haven, you listen to something you love, you reset yourself, you fill yourself up a little bit because work just took it out of you or where you spent your day before you walk in the door. Just that reset possibility can be such a powerful thing. So I take care of the instrument that's going to make the difference in those places that I say right now takes up all of my time, so I don't have time to take care of the instrument.
Mm.
No, I'd rather you got 8 minutes of the best of me than 20 minutes of 25% me.
Yeah.
So the measure of quality and quantity can sometimes flip and a new opportunity arise.
Is there any quick like way to check in with ourselves to be like, oh, I'm at 25%. Maybe I need to go take that breather?
Yeah, I feel a little bit out of alignment with my soul work, telling people how to hack things.
Okay.
I think we sometimes get too much in a hurry and we forget we're a lifelong journey. I don't know how long my life is, but it's beginning to end. I'm evolving and changing and transforming all the time. So to think I have to corner instead of turn the tide, turn a corner, like I hesitate to do that. So a quick way. But I also have 12-step in my background. I've been a proud member of Al-Anon for like almost 40 years. And
Wow.
it's taught to me there, other people know this, but halt is really great. If I can feel my temperature rising, if I can feel my frustration building, if I can feel, my patience thinning, halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Any one of those things can have me choose out of, and I want you to hear this, hungry, angry, lonely, tired does not compromise my best self, but it'll have me choose out of my best self.
Yeah.
So if I'm willing to pause and go, what am I right now going to say is more important than me bringing my best here?
Mm.
So I have 25%. Now, I can't give you 100%, or I can give you 100% of the 25 I have, or I can say, hey, it would be better if we could wait till I recharge a bit.
Yeah.
So knowing yourself, again, that's why relationship to self, like, how do you know before she says a word, something's off with your wife? Like something's just not like there's something's going on. How do you know?
I just I'm able to see it in her face, her energy.
Right? Like I think I can tell by my husband's eyebrows what's going on. Like I've paid attention. Like when they do this, ooh, I do that. Ah, like like the horse whisperer says about the ears. That kind of level of knowing yourself comes with I'm interested. I'm interested in knowing. So when I'm taking care of that relationship with me, I can know pretty quickly, ooh, this is this is disproportionate. Something's going on with me. Oh, that's
Mhm.
right. I was so excited I stayed up till 4 last night. Or, oh, look at the clock. I've been working so hard, I haven't eaten in 6 hours, or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
then it doesn't become the reason, but it becomes a way to take care of so that my choices are more aligned with who I want to be, who I say I will be, and what I want to create.
And thereby we get the opportunity to choose our most inspired life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mary Jo, what is your inspired life in this current season?
Ooh, that's such a great. I love that you said that because I turned 60, so I'm in the crone phase, which I just got to create an event around that so that I could choose what this next era of my life would be instead of letting gravity decide for me, like letting
Yeah.
momentum decide for me, like
Yep.
I'm claiming what this stage of life is for me. And one of the things I became deeply aware of is I measure wealth through people.
Yeah. Tell me more.
The quality of my relationships and who I have in my life is my wealth.
Yeah.
It's the riches. It's the abundance I want to have. So not necessarily abundance, high numbers of people, but who I have at what level. So this stage of life now doing my soul work, that what I am up to aligns with what I stand for has become
Mm,
a higher level of importance. Um, I've done compromising or acquiescing in ways because the bigger picture, I had to say no to something to make a bigger yes happen. Like that's worked, and I'm not against that anymore. But now I'm looking for ways, if it truly doesn't align with what I'm here to be upright about, then I'm willing to explore, find a way to make that work so that it aligns or let it go.
yeah.
Those are the two things I would say that are on top for me for inspired life.
I love that. I love that. And I had no idea you were just at a milestone birthday. Happy belated. Something I would love to ask is, as we grow older, as we gain more wisdom, more knowledge, more life experience, like, is there an intersection between living a life of greater conviction, of morals, of this is what I stand for, and inspiration? Or can you do one without the other? Or does one lead to the next?
Hmm. Such a great question, because that, as you call it, an intersection, I mean, you'll see what's inspiring you if you're willing to question that. Like the
Interesting.
inspiration was this, and I've outgrown it, perhaps. And conviction, when I think there is an maturation process that we can't rush.
Yeah.
We are in some ways historically dependent on those outside of us, like early life. I talk about this a lot,
Yeah.
like in the training room. Like one of the reasons we feel if we lose the love or pride of our parents, it feels like it can blow our systems. And I work with people oftentimes that didn't actually do the work around that later in life and what that did and all of that. But we're biologically dependent. Like if you leave me, I will die was
Right.
real. And then we translated it later. right? And kept like living like, if you go, I won't be okay. If you go, I'll die, kind of thing. So there's some of that, like we've needed outside forces to give us like, how do we work in relationship? How do we work in community? How do we work with other? Because we are designed to be in relationship. It's one thing human beings have in a different level than other creatures is our interaction. It's not always dependent on life, like we came together and created life together. Without, if the tribe didn't survive, we don't survive. But it became more about, I come to my highest in relationship. But at
Yeah.
some point in the maturation process, I no longer look outward for the guidance. I look inward, but I look outward for the feedback, the results, the
Yeah.
information that will help what my inner guide is saying. And if we have not done our own work on having a strong infrastructure of an internal, and I'm going to use the word authority, even though it has multiple meanings, but inner guide, inner author, or however you want to phrase that, whatever works comfortably for you that doesn't bring up, bad trigger memories, then we are looking for the outer structure. And when it goes away, we're lost.
Mm,
Like that happened a lot in COVID. Do you know
yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah.
When the outer structure went away, there were some that didn't know how to be.
Yeah.
The infrastructure hadn't been developed or tended to. So in the maturation process, there is a turning point, a gradual moving from looking outward for guidance to looking inward for guidance, looking outward for support of that.
Mhm.
So I would say that.
Here's a follow-up question. So, everybody listening to this experienced COVID. I myself struggled greatly with what you just described, not being somebody at that point who could provide and create structure for himself. And I fell on a lot of my previously formed bad habits. I got
Mm.
really isolated for a while. And one of the shifts for me has been just continuing to look at how is this happening for me, and like what is my agency in this situation, what can I do about it. And so looking back now, 5 years later almost, which is crazy to say, I can look you in the eye and tell you without a doubt I met my wife because of COVID, because trainings went online. We both came back to volunteer coach a cycle. I was in Denver, Colorado at the time. She was in Columbus, Ohio. First, our phone calls started being about, supporting the students, and then suddenly they weren't anymore. And here we are, we're married. We've been married for 2 years. It's been amazing. But that's all to say, you know, talking about that inner voice, that inner author, and you talked about looking for the external validation, the external feedback. Is that what causes us to isolate when we haven't healed that part of ourselves? Because I know so many people struggle with isolation, as I did for a lot of the pandemic.
Well, I will say this. If I'm looking outside to see if I'm okay is different than I'm looking outside to see what I want to do about that.
Yeah.
Like, I may have disappointed you, or this, there was something, there was breakdown. There's a thing where I go, oh no, like if I don't have that inner authority, I go, that's not okay. And like I can trigger that primal brain, that fight or flight, that alarm system's going off, as opposed to you're disappointed. Let me go here first. What do I want to do about that? What does that mean?
Hmm.
And now I'm looking for how can I meet this, your disappointment, in a way that strengthens our relationship? Now you are not my authority. My author is the authority.
Yeah.
So it's not
Wow.
just validation. One of the things I say for people in relationship very clearly, because I'm clear about it in all of my relationships, and I've begun to offer it to other people. I can only remind you, I can't convince you. You're amazing, but I can only remind you. I can't convince you. So if you don't know it on some level, my words will fall on deaf ears. It'll gratify you for a moment, but there'll be empty calories in the long run. Other people can't actually convince us. They can remind us. And if somebody's telling you you're amazing, if you're listening to this and people keep telling you how wonderful you are, and you find yourself batting it back, resisting it, or whatever that is, then begin to question, why am I the only one that doesn't think that or believe that or see that?
Mhm.
Because they can't fill you up. And we
Yeah.
try and wonder why it's not working. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who habitually has been the type of person to want external validation, want compliments, but will deflect them like,
Not an interesting dance.
oh,
Woo!
it's terrible. It's terrible. And it's definitely something I've been working on for a long time. And side note for the listeners, if you are somebody who deflects compliments, just learn to say thank you and stop talking and see what that does for you. Like
You
just
know what?
let it land.
I have a baby step for people that struggle.
Let's hear it.
So, okay. Throw one at me.
Considering how much traffic you've been in, I'm amazed how much energy you have on this conversation.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so.
Wow. Okay. I
Like,
like that.
you gave me your honest experience. I may not agree with it, but I don't have to deflect it. I
Yeah.
don't even have false gratitude for it. I'm actually really grateful you think I have a lot of energy.
Yeah. You're
I'm
bringing it.
like, thank you for thinking that's happening for me. And I will tell you, in the last minutes we've been together, since we've connected, as soon as I got to see your face, I definitely felt an uptick. So I'm going to share the wealth of that result.
Well,
But when I don't agree, because it happens in relationship all the time, you look so beautiful. I'm not even wearing makeup. Oh my God, you
yeah.
handled that so well. I could have done it better. You are the most handsome. Oh, please. I'm no Brad Pitt or fill in the blank. Like what that does oof, it's it can deteriorate over time. Then I'm going to quit telling you. I
Yeah.
don't want to be wrong anymore.
Yeah.
So if you struggle with that, again, know that there's some work to be done because for some reason, everybody else can see it but you. And you crave to have it confirmed, but your secret ego agenda is make sure it'll never happen. So you brush it away or
Mhm.
make it wrong. But if you struggle with accepting it, just give yourself the pause long enough to say, I'm so glad you think so. And just give yourself a beat to decide whether or not you can actually take it in. Because if the soil's hard and dry, the rain will run right off. Soften
Yeah.
the Softening the soil was a term I learned by a gardener, and it's so good in our energetic and emotional beings. If I sprinkle a little bit of water on the soil, it creates space between the dirt. It opens it up. It actually swells the space so that now when I water, the water will go in and go all the way to the roots. But if I don't soften the soil, which is actually what she told me it was called, all that will be wasted.
Yeah.
So support yourself, soften the soil, give yourself a moment to not reject it or force feed it. Just be with it.
If I can draw a through line here for the listeners, because we're talking about giving and receiving, and we keep coming back to relationship, I feel like I'm hearing you say, because so many of us are hardwired to give, 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 that if we're actually going to have meaningful relationship with other people or with ourselves, we actually get to learn how to receive too. Is that accurate?
Well, that is part of it for sure.
Okay.
The cycle of giving, if everyone's a giver, there are no receivers. So it falls down pretty quickly. If everybody only exhales, you only live about 2 minutes.
It's a
It's a
lot of CO2.
It's a cycle. There's got to be exactly lots of CO2, and then the alarms are going off and people are passing out, right? So there is some of that. And I give from worthiness, I receive from worthiness. And this may not always be true, but it's worth trying it on, listeners. You might not be giving, you might be bargaining.
What does that mean? Can you elaborate?
When I give fully, it goes out, it's gone. But I'm giving so that I feel good about myself. I'm giving so I'm okay. I'm giving so I'm a good person. It's like fulfilling something. It's not really a gift, it's a trade. So when I give to my husband, or I give to my kids, or I give to my sisters, or I give to, it's their happiness lights me up. I love that. I truly want you to have this. That's a gift. Now, I give to you to show I'm a good person, because see, I gave to you. Now it was because that was a bargain. You'll love
Yeah.
me, you'll stay in my life, you'll prove to me that I'm okay. Then it's not necessarily giving. Um, I we play in some of the training, some of the leadership, we play the giver game. And that is where we kind of fine tune. Because when I give to we, not you. I'm part of it. It's it's cyclical. I invest in somebody on the planet, I've invested in my world. I'm not left out of it. Giving
Yeah.
isn't a separate experience. It's, again, cyclical, dynamic. So if I truly believe in giving and I'm unwilling to receive, I'm thwarting. If I give and I'm not willing to just say, it's great that I put it out there, I expect nothing in return and I'm having a great day. Like well, again, it came from an Al-Anon sponsor years ago. And I've done it ever since, that I do uh, anonymous giving annually.
Nice.
And the only one I get to brag to about it, the only one I get to share that with is in the mirror.
I
To
love
be
that.
in that, like kind of just to feel that. And then I receive from me
Mhm.
in a really beautiful way. And if I'm giving outwardly, then I'm giving to all of life itself, and I'm part of all of life itself. So be willing to receive, be willing to give, be willing to know if it's, a bargain. All those things can change the energetic of the exchange for sure.
Wow. Mary Jo, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you because, being as many episodes in on the show as I am, I don't often have a guest on where I'm enraptured with everything you're saying because I feel like you're speaking to me directly more than maybe I want to admit. But I think it's also indicative of the journey I'm on, the work that I get to do. And I know that it's going to be impactful for the listeners as well when they listen to this. And listeners, please go like rewind the last 5 minutes or so and replay that because that was juicy. That's what this show is all about. And, I just want to thank you for sharing that nugget with us. I'm curious, what is maybe something tangibly or intangibly that's opened up in your life from you learning how to authentically give in this way?
Joy increased, pure joy, like literal, undiluted joy, like the spark of that. The wearing out, give till I'm empty and then fill up, began to even out. I'm never fully empty because even when I'm giving to other, I'm giving to us.
Mhm.
So my energy levels are less compromised when I'm living that intentionally that way, for
Yeah.
sure. And um, as you said that, you feel as if I'm speaking to you, it gave me a moment to go, oh my God, I'm actually speaking to me. Like, I love that I can sometimes, I share something that, oh yeah, it's time for me to be reminded about that.
Yeah.
So that,
Yes.
yeah, staying the present in it, the purity of it, the um, the ongoingness of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't make it feel like I'm going to run out because it's ongoing.
So knowing that you are in the chapter of your life that you are, and that you already have given so much to so many people, what is next for you? Like, is there anything you're pursuing? Like, what does this season look like for you?
Well, I've made some declarations about seeing some more peace places, but letting go of my, I've, my word of the year last year was pace, and I have harder, faster, louder down pat, and I've always known that's an addictive thing, but I am a high energy, my mentor always tells me, you're a racehorse and this one's not, we're not on the track right now. Like, there is a uh, willingness to explore all the different paces because I've got to get there sooner. So one of the reasons why I hesitate on the hacking, um, that for me, and again, the soul work, the alignment work. So the inspiration program that I'm doing, I do a year-long cohort. It's a year-long mastermind, all based around an inspiration. Like, I'm having so much fun. I feel like I'm getting away with something.
That.
When you line up with something that you love like that, and it can be anything, it doesn't have to be what we consider grand. I know people that get lit up because they make everybody's day better when they come through the coffee line or they come through the unemployment line. But that level of that, God, I really love this. And I'm willing to do the exchange of life with, I love this, and it's also part of my work. So being with people that suddenly see a level of themselves that they have access to that they didn't before, I mean, whew, there's just nothing better on the planet. And that I can be in the exchange of that and served by that as well. So even as I'm giving, I'm receiving, I'm in the cycle of it. Like, that just, yeah, yum. More of that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners could use a lot of guidance in getting to more of that yum. And so
Mhm.
tell us about the program that you're launching and where people can get in contact with you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Sure. It's called Practicing Inspiration. And this is actually the second year I'm doing it. So I've done it one under my belt, which was tremendous. The results were so fantastic. The group really got to know each other, support each other. It's a year long so that you have a two-prong result in your life. Because doing something for a year, you're going to build muscles over time. So self as practitioner. We practice all the time, but if we're not willing to get curious, sometimes we're practicing what doesn't work. So intentional practice, how can I develop myself as a practitioner to know I will show up day after day, not need just the fast and flash and get it done, but like over time until the muscle memory comes and the my new automatics are things that actually matter to me. So practitioner gets served and muscles get built. And then inspiration is something, and when you listen to our language, I'm looking for inspiration. I can't find inspiration. I'm waiting for inspiration as if it's outside of us. Inspiration comes with how we're engaging with what's outside of us. So we think of, again, the big events, the big reasons to be inspired. Heck, even in what's going on in California right now with the fires and everything, there's been inspiration around the way people have come together or recognized. I've heard someone say very eloquently, I realize it's only stuff, but my memories are gone of that place. I mean,
Mm,
the places I lived, my memories is gone. That's what he said. And like that inspiration of what really mattered to this person was there. Inspiration is how we engage, and we forget that because even like I said, our languaging points to that. We think it's going to come like it's outside of us. Well, after a year of being in an inspirational practice, the ability to look for the inspiration or see the inspiration on a regular basis, not because it's a wedding, not because it's the birth, not because it's the whatever, but because today ends with a Y. And I say that all the time. Why not today? Why not today when I'm staying home with pajamas and doing laundry and, why not doing laundry? Why not when I'm starting my foundation? So that now I'm living life with the certainty of inspiration will be in my engagement, my interaction with life, and I become a stronger of that so that the grind of life, the gritty of life, the my ass is dragging in life becomes buoyant because, oh yeah, I don't have to get to the gym. I love living with energy in my life. Boom! Now I'm bouncing out to the car instead of dragging myself. The inspiration comes, it's a weekly inspiration that you walk with for a week. So you get one every week and some journal prompts and ways to explore it. There's an intake that allows you to focus in on two areas of life you really want to impact. And then the inspirations are a lens to see what you could learn about your operating system, your internal dialogue, your inner authority, and how you view the world. Once a month, for those that go into the group experience, then it's a 1 hour live coaching session. So the program itself takes minutes a day. And then this 1 hour coaching session where I support people connecting. I've had this inspiration. How do I turn it into action? So that, and everybody learns from each other, which is wonderful, and support each other. And then for some people like to go a step further and can also have a level of membership that gives them a personal coaching call with me as well. So
Mm.
my work, I realized, is I love self-mastery. We're an evolving, opening being, never ending. Self-mastery is a lifetime journey. So my website is selfmasterymentoring.com. Because that's what I do. I'm mentoring you in your self-mastery, not how to be me, but offering you opportunities how you can grow and learn and know and be the best you. So my membership is on there under inspiration. And yeah, that's how you can find me. And we're starting in February 12th because I purposely don't do it in January, the first week of January. By February 12th, you know what has been resolute and what has not been. So don't do it alone. Don't, to use your phrase, I love when you brought your arm up like that. Don't muscle through. We're built to be in relationship. Come join a group of people that you get to plug into to support you in that when it gets gritty or you're not sure, and then we do it together. So I do my own declarations, I'm doing my work, and then the whole group's doing it together. So it's pretty like the results were across the board. People make differences in their living situations, in their career, in their income, in their health. It was amazing.
Yeah, I have no doubt. And folks, I've been orbiting Mary Jo for a long time. I've been in some of the trainings that she has led. She's an absolute master, and I don't say that lightly. So, absolutely check this opportunity out for yourself. Run, don't walk to the links that we're going to post in the show notes wherever you're catching this episode. So, whether you're on your YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, it will be there. Just look below, check it out for yourself. And she's darn near giving it away. Like, she's just such an amazing person and brings so much value. So take the opportunity for yourself. And Mary Jo, final question I ask every single guest: what are you acknowledging yourself for today?
Today, I'm acknowledging myself for living the purpose of all my commitments today, even when a big monkey wrench came into it. I didn't keep my commitments. I kept my purpose. So the surprise and the challenge of it, ain't nothing but a chicken wing, because what I am is filled with the acknowledgement of, ah, what I really wanted to cause happened.
I love that. And I just want to say for the listeners really quick, that is something that we can all aspire to. Like, we can't control all the circumstances. We can't control how something's going to look exactly, but we can show up authentically with energy, with the right attitude to support us and seeing something through. And so, thank you for sharing that. And
Thank you for asking.
of course, and Mary Jo, this has been a wonderful episode. We will absolutely invite you on again in the future. And for folks, definitely check out her program. We'll also link her book that she wrote in the show notes below. Check that out as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I know you got value out of today's episode. Cost of admission here is always free. So please share this out with at least one other individual for whom you know will benefit as well. Again, this has been your Inside Track to Success. We will catch you next week with another amazing guest or message. We'll see you then.